Take two highly competent, hardworking people and put them on the same project. Sometimes they mesh perfectly, but other times they violently grind against each other, throwing sparks for no apparent reason. From one perspective, the coworker is a roadblock. They seem hopelessly slow, stuck in their ways, and appear to be deliberately dragging their feet. Reverse that perspective, and the other person looks like a liability. They seem scattered, reckless, and incapable of focusing on a single task for long. These labels, slow or scattered, are usually a misdiagnosis of character. We're not seeing a lack of work ethic, but a collision between two different internal settings. This is natural tempo, the literal, biological speed a person is wired to process events. It's important to see what this dial is not measuring. It has nothing to do with how smart someone is, how hard they work, or their quality. It's simply speed. Mistaking this mechanical mismatch for a moral failing creates a layer of friction that grinds down productivity without ever being identified as the actual problem. On the steady end of the spectrum, work happens with a single-focused, methodical consistency. These individuals bring an unmatched depth to their tasks. They provide the follow-through that keeps projects on track and act as a calming, level-headed influence when a team gets spun up. The trade-off is a risk of getting stuck. A steady-end person can find themselves perfecting a single task while three more urgent fires wait for their attention. On the opposite side, the fast end runs hot. These people keep several plates spinning at once and are energized rather than stressed by a sense of urgency. They excel at generating momentum. They are comfortable navigating chaos and can pivot quickly as a situation changes. But they can also fall into a state of churn. Because they thrive on novelty, they can be prone to starting a dozen different things, but leaving a wake of projects that are only 80% finished. Neither of these operating rhythms is inherently better. They are just two different engines built to run at vastly different RPMs. This friction is the gap mechanic, the distance between natural tempo and the role's required tempo. When a steady person faces constant context switching, a red zone signals burnout. Conversely, restricting a fast-end person to a slow, repetitive role drops engagement as they check out. When two peers with different tempos work together, the fast-end speed feels like chaos to the steady end, while the steady end's consistency looks like a roadblock to the fast end. The tempo itself isn't the problem. The system breaks because of the environmental mismatch and a lack of translation between the two sides. Modern corporate culture often operates with a quiet bias toward the fast end. We tend to praise urgency and assume it's the only true measure of an employee's value. But without the steady end, the fast end would just pivot from one half-finished idea to the next. The steady end is the reason things actually get finished. Managing this begins with matching the tempo to the role. We should stop asking steady people to love chaos and stop expecting fast people to find energy in a repetitive routine. We also have to sequence change correctly. A steady worker needs lead time and a clear why before a pivot, while a fast worker needs the change to arrive immediately before they lose interest. Pairing complementary tempos deliberately creates a complete project lifecycle. A fast-end starter hands off to a steady-end finisher. This works if the manager names the dynamic. When the team understands the gap, they appreciate the handoff rather than resenting the speed difference. An elite team doesn't try to force everyone to move at the same speed. It names the gap, removes the character judgments, and uses those differences in pace as a strategic advantage.